I see a lot of familiar faces from last night, so I want to thank everybody for coming out to Occupy the Hood. The energy was great. It's tough. Next morning, getting right back out there at it again. So I commend you all. I had a tough time this morning too. Just give yourselves a round of applause for last night's showing and what a great outcome that was. My name is Cornel Mills. I've done a lot of work in this community, work with Jamal. We started an organization called Brothers for Boston about 2 years ago, just to focus on some of the internal issues that we're dealing with as a community. The violence, the black-on-black crime, the gang issue, the drugs, and the police are just a small part of the overall picture. You know, we live in a society where the criminal justice system is broken. It doesn't treat everyone fairly. Crime pays. There are a lot of people who make a living on the backs of criminals, from lawyers to police officers, to the morgue, you name it. I spent about 2 years working in Dan Conley's Suffolk DA's office. I was a homicide investigator. I also investigated some juvenile cases. So I had a chance to kind of see the inner workings on the relationship between the district attorney's office and Boston Police and also the state police. I can tell you that I left that position after 2 years because I wasn't the kind of person who could remain silent on issues of injustice. In the famous words of Dr. King, an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So if we see some injustice, if there's a situation going on, it's our job to speak up. It's our responsibility to speak up. I want to talk real briefly about the issue of racial profiling. We had a racial profiling bill that was put forward in this state about 10 years ago. My mother, who's a former senator for Roxbury, is the one who initiated that bill. And one of the things that came out of that bill, you know, there was a pushback from the other senators in the State House because they said racial profiling doesn't actually exist. There's no proof of it. So they had to do a data collection bill. So the information was compiled. Northeastern University issued a report, and please visit blackstonian.com and take a look at that racial profiling report from I think it was 2002. And 80% of the cities and towns in the state of Massachusetts had a problem with racial profiling. They were disproportionately stopping young men of color that were way out of whack with the number of people who lived in those towns. So for a young man of color who was driving through or on his way from one place to another, they were being stopped. And what happened after that report came out, the police departments who had the worst ranking in terms of their response and the kind of profiling that was going on, they were supposed to be some proactive steps made, but they kind of drew back. They have a very strong union. And I think this could be the start of a union that can counter the strong union that the police department has on this city. So it's great to see everybody out here today. Let's keep this momentum going. I'm going to call up next a good friend and partner of mine and colleague, gentleman, his name is Bruce Sinclair. He actually has dealt most recently with the Boston Police Department on the issue of police brutality. And he's going to give you some information about how cumbersome that process was and just what it took to get justice in the end. So thanks again for coming out today.